Welcome to Saz Talks Money on Valuetainment. I'm your host, Adam Sosnick, and I'm here to help you build your wealth and save that money. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the world's wealthiest billionaires. Let's talk money.
All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money.
So, question for you. During the pandemic, do you think billionaire wealth has gone up or down? What do you think? Because if you answered up, you would be absolutely right. Don't believe me? Check out this clip I recently filmed on the business news for busy people. Billionaires have never been richer despite the pandemic. Billionaire wealth increased to $10.2 trillion over the summer, up from a previous peak of $8.9 trillion in 2017. So the major reason for this is the stock market. So what I did is I said, you know what, all these billionaires are getting wealthier. Let me dig a little bit deeper on this topic. And here's what I uncovered. According to CNBC, when you're talking billionaires in the world, there are 2,825 billionaires walking around planet Earth today. Now, how many are in America? Good question. Well, there's 614 billionaires here in the United States. Let me break that down for you a little bit further. 22% of billionaires in the world are in the United States, despite the US only having 4% of the world's population. All right, cool. So billionaires, high concentration in the United States. Let's talk about millionaires. You want to talk about millionaires? Well, here you go. In the world today, there are 47 million millionaires. 47 million millionaires in the world, and 18.6 million of them are here in the United States. That is actually 40% of the world's millionaires. Now, being a millionaire is pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but now it's all about being a billionaire. I remember back in like 2010, there was a song that came out from Travis McCoy and Bruno Mars, and it was, I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. I was like, damn, it's not even cool to be a millionaire anymore. It's all about being a billionaire. Very interesting. Let's talk about countries with the most billionaires. Obviously, number one is the United States, 614 billionaires as we discussed. Let's go down the list here, rapid fire style. Number two is China with 388. Number three, Germany, 107. Number four, India, 102 billionaires. Number five, Russia, 99. Hong Kong's got 67 billionaires. Brazil's got 45. The United Kingdom's got 45. Canada, 44. And number 10 on the list is France with 39. Now let's talk about millionaires. Let's talk about millionaires. How many millionaires are around the world? Top 10 countries with the most millionaires. Obviously, we said that number one is the United States, 18.6 million. China, number two at 4.4 million millionaires. Number three is Japan, 3 million. Number four is the UK, 2.5 million. Five, Germany, 2.2 million. Number six is France, 2.1 million. Number seven, Australia, 1.2 million. Then you got Spain at 980,000, so not even millions at that point, 980,000. Number nine is India at 760,000 millionaires. And last but not least, you got Brazil, 260,000 millionaires. So that's your breakdown of how many billionaires and millionaires are across the globe. That's your top 10. Now we said the top 10, now let's get into the top 20 wealthiest billionaires on planet Earth today. Now, who's number one? I'm sure you've heard this man's name before. I'm sure you're buying tons of stuff from this person's company. Number one person on the list is Jeff Bezos. He's worth $197 billion, just a little bit shy of $200 billion. Don't feel bad for that guy. I'm sure he'll get there. He's 56 years old, and he is out of the United States, out of Miami, Florida, if you didn't know that. His company is Amazon. I'm sure you knew that. And his sector and industry is technology. Who's number two? Number two is Bill Gates. He's worth $117 billion. He's out of the United States. He is the founder of Microsoft. That is another tech company. So the top two are tech companies on this list. Number three, we got our first non-American on the list. His name is Bernard Arnault. Did I say that okay? He is French. He's 71 years old, and he's worth $116 billion. His company is LVMH. That stands for Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. How's my French accent? He is in the fashion and retail industry. Okay, so top two tech. Now we got fashion, number three. Number four, we got Mark Zuckerberg. We're all on Facebook. We know the deal. He's worth just shy of $100 billion, $99.9 billion. He's 36 years old. He is the youngest person on this list. He founded Facebook. That is another technology company. Moving right along, we got number 5. He is the rising rocket on this list. We got Elon Musk. He is now worth $96 billion. He's just shy of 50 at 49 years old. He hails from South Africa, but now he claims the United States. He's a resident of the US. He founded Tesla and SpaceX. His industry is tech, space, and obviously auto. So Elon Musk's wealth was a fraction of this before the pandemic. His wealth has skyrocketed, no pun intended, on the SpaceX. Number 6, you have our first Asian person on this list. This is Mukesh Ambani. He's worth $88 billion. He's 63 years old, and he is out of India. Respect to my Indian friends out there. He started Reliance Energy. They are in the energy, oil, and gas business. So that is our first energy sector on our top 20 list. Number 7, we got Larry Ellison. He's the founder of Oracle. Oracle is in the software and tech space. He's worth $80 billion. He's 76 years old. And you might have heard his name in the news recently because Oracle just put together a little deal to take over a partnership with TikTok. I know that's very confusing and the news keeps changing every single day, but look out for the name Larry Ellison, Oracle with TikTok. There you go. Number 8, we got Warren Buffett. We all know the name, the greatest investor of all time, the Oracle of Omaha. He's the oldest person on this list at 90 years old. He's worth $79 billion, and depending on how the market fluctuates day to day, he might move up or down this list. His company is called Berkshire Hathaway, and he is the first person in finance and investments on the top 20 list. Number 9, you got Steve Ballmer. He's worth $74 billion. He was the CEO for Microsoft for like 15 years. He was the number 2 guy under Bill Gates. He was actually the number 30 hire within Microsoft. So here's something to know about Steve Ballmer. He's not an entrepreneur. He's not the founder of the company. He's an intrapreneur who made his billions running alongside Mr. Bill Gates. They're obviously in the technology sector with Microsoft. Moving right along, you got number 10 and number 11. These are the 2 founders of Google. This is Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They're worth $70 billion and $68 billion combined. That's $138 billion. They're both 47 years old. United States, Google, technology sector. If you don't know who these guys are, go ahead and Google them. You see that? Then number 12, you got Francois Bettencourt Myers. That's the second French person. I love using the French accent when I'm talking about these people. She's worth $67 billion. She hails from France, and her family founded L'Oreal, right? So that's in the fashion, retail, makeup industry. There we go. Number 13, you know what? Number 13 is actually an interesting one because they could have taken up the second half of this list. It is the Walton family. Walton family, their father, Sam Walton's founded Walmart. That's the biggest shopping and retail company in America. And you got Rob, Alice, and Jim, the 2 brothers and sister. They're worth collectively $67 billion apiece. You add that up, that's $200 billion. If they did the whole family, they'd be number 1 on this entire list. They're obviously out of the United States. Number 14, you got Amancio Ortega, mi amigo de España. He's worth $66 billion. He's 84 years old. He's from the fashion industry, and he founded Zara. If you're looking to save that money and find some good clothing, go check out Zara. That's a free plug for Zara right there. Number 14, we have our first Chinese person on this list. We got Pony Ma Huateng. Did I say that name right? Pony Ma Huateng. He's worth $61 billion. He's from China, 49 years old. He's the founder and CEO of Tencent. They own WeChat. So if you haven't heard of these companies, check them out. They're in the technology space in China. Moving right along, you got Mike Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City. He's worth $55 billion. He's 78 years old. He founded Bloomberg LP. They're in the finance and media space. He had a brief stint trying to run for the president of the United States. He was in and out in like less than a month, but he spent over $100 million. So that's Mike Bloomberg. Number 17, we have our first Mexican on the list. We got Carlos Slim Helu. Carlos Slim Helu, he's worth $53 billion. He's 80 years old and he's out of Mexico, obviously. His company is America Móvil. They're in the telecom space. That's the number 1 telecommunications provider in Mexico. Number 18, you got our second Chinese person on this list. You got Jack Ma. He's actually a pretty famous person. He's worth $52 billion. He's 56 years old. He's obviously Chinese. He started Alibaba, which is in the e-commerce space in China. Number 19, rounding out this list, you got Phil Knight. He's the founder of Nike. He's worth $48 billion. He's 82 years old. He actually stepped down not too long ago. Obviously, Nike in the fashion, retail, and shoe sector. Number 20, the last person on this list, they're kind of like the Waltons, but they're not public. They're not a public company. They're actually the second largest private company in America. You got the Koch family. You got Charles and his late brother David's wife, who now has the money in the family, Julia. They're worth $45 billion apiece. You add that up, that's $90 billion. He's 85 years old. She's 58. They're obviously out of the United States. Now, what kind of business are they in? It's pretty diversified. They're a private company, so we don't know everything about them, but what we do know is they're in the pipeline business and the chemical business. So that's the Koch family. And last but not least, they're not in the top 20, but this just talks about how powerful number one is. Number 21 on this list is actually the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos. Her name is Mackenzie Scott. She's worth $40 billion because she owns 4% of Amazon. Interesting, she's out of the United States as well. She's in the tech space, she's an author now, and quite frankly, she can do whatever the hell she wants to do now that she's single. She's only 50 years old, and she's worth $40 billion frickin' dollars. So that's the top 20 billionaires in the world right there, with a little throw in at number 21 from Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She just threw in an extra $40 billion for us. No biggie right there. All right, so what's my biggest takeaways? Well, number one, it's pretty obvious. If you look all up and down this list, you see nothing but blue. It's all about USA, USA, USA. Capitalism works. Let me recap those numbers for you. We have 22% of the world's billionaires. We have 40% of the world's millionaires, and 13 people in the top 20 all hail from the United States. Don't be talking trash about capitalism because it works. Number two, second biggest takeaway here is there's definitely many different ways to make money, different sectors and different lines of business. So we got technology, obviously that's number one. We got fashion and retail, energy, we got telecom, we got e-commerce. There's different ways to make money. It's not all just in one sector. Second part of that is you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur like Elon Musk or Bill Gates. You can also be an intrapreneur like Steve Ballmer. Our CEO, Patrick Bet-David, talks about it in his book, Your Next 5 Moves. If you're not an entrepreneur, that's okay. You could be an intrapreneur and be a number 2 guy company, a number 3 guy in the company like Steve Ballmer was with Microsoft, and he's now worth $74 billion. He was the number 2 at Microsoft. He's also the number 2 team in LA. He's the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles Lakers just won a world championship. We'll see what the Clippers end up doing, but that's Steve Ballmer for you. My number 3 biggest takeaway is you need to follow your passion. I doubt anyone on this list behind me was like, I really, really, really want to be a billionaire. No, it's something that happened accidentally, and that was the outcome of the passion that they put in to their business. They stuck with it, they took on risk, and they stayed the course no matter the ups and the downs that their business faced. So follow your passion. My number 4 biggest takeaway is you need to tune out the haters. You think the people on this list don't have haters? These are some of the most hated people on the planet. They say if you don't got haters, you're not doing something right. So they're dealing with the heat, they're dealing with the haters, but they stay with the game plan. That's my number 4 biggest takeaway. And number 5, my final takeaway from this entire list is these guys started to make buku bucks, and what did they do with that money? Well, they saved that money, they didn't spend it, and they reinvested it into their business. That's how they grew their business more and more and more and more. So that's my biggest takeaways from this top 20 billionaire list. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it inspired you in some way to follow your dreams. With that being said, I want you to check out a couple of these clips. Number 1, 10 things that are killing your wealth, and number 2, how to have a game plan for your money. If you have not subscribed to Valuetainment Economics, please do so below and give that like button a smash while you're at it. And as always, save that money.
All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money.